I'll do you one better than that. They were written down, these payments falsely documented to win an election after Trump was already president.
Right.
Trump was in the White House and had won. That's their conspiracy to influence the election falsification payments.
Right. For this to be true, you would need a flux capacitor. You'd need to be able to go back in time.
I love the flux capacitor. I'm totally in the market for that.
Mm-hmm. I need one of those myself. That would be.
Have you been watching Dark Matter on Netflix?
I haven't. No. Is it good?
Oh, you got to watch it. It's crazy, and I think they've got a flux capacitor in that. Sorry, you were making a point though.
It was time travel related, but like this is what you need. You need to have time travel. You need to have all of these assumptions built on top of assumptions built on top of assumptions. And I know, Megyn, you've been watching this stuff for a long time. As someone who jumps in on these big trials like I do, I'm watching as a normal person who's really interested less in a way personally in what happens to Donald Trump. I mean, I care about that because I care about other people and I care about what it means to the rest of the country. But following it more from a political standpoint, this is completely absurd. Is this normal in our legal system? I mean, is this happening to people all the time? Because I feel like I have a whole new crusade in life if this is the normal way our legal system is operating.
No, it's not normal. This is Judge Merchan's fault and the fault of DA Alvin Bragg, who are partisan hacks. That's why we're seeing this absurdity happen right here. Let me fast forward with you just a little. Doug Brunt is listening, my husband, and he's watching it with me on Apple, Dark Matter. Thanks, Duggar. Appreciate that. Here's Blanche, getting ready to wrap up, just jumping ahead, and we can go back and do some more of the middle there. He kept it tight. He highlights the fact that this big catch and kill scheme between Trump, Cohen, and David Pecker, and he's saying there was no such thing. And by the way, catch and kill was like a normal thing anyway, so it's not a conspiracy to win an election. But now he's highlighting the fact that David Pecker didn't want it to have anything to do with Stormy Daniels' payment. Here's how he put it. This is a good argument. That's the conspiracy? He asks, incredulous. That's it? There's supposedly this big conspiracy to catch and kill all the negative stories about Trump. But as soon as it comes to it, with Stormy Daniels saying it's a month to go before the election, I'm going to go public, Pecker wants nothing to do with it? He won't pay? Which is why Michael Cohen had to pay? What sense does that make? He says, by the way, Stormy Daniels did not testify before the grand jury. So why did she testify in this case? I'll tell you why. They did it to inflame your emotions. Objection overruled here. Interesting. Blanche focuses on that October 24, 2016 phone call that Michael Cohen testified he allegedly made, he did make to Keith Schiller, Trump's bodyguard. He alleged that it was actually to speak to Trump to tell him he had handled the Stormy matter. And then he was cross-examined with his texts to Schiller before that phone call was actually placed, in which Cohen was getting harassed by a 14-year-old boy who kept bothering him. And he was saying, what should I do? And the conclusion was Cohen had resolved to tell Keith Schiller, Trump's bodyguard, that he wanted to bring this to the Secret Service. And he did tell Keith Schiller that. And then I think Schiller said, call me. So he called Keith Schiller. Now he wants the jury to believe that phone call, which was 90 seconds long, was actually him asking to speak to Trump. So here's Blanche on that call today. He says, this was Cohen's sworn testimony, his voice rising dramatically. This was a lie. Blanche says the defense put in evidence what that call really was about, the harassing phone calls Cohen had received from this 14-year-old. That is perjury, Blanche practically yells. Cohen has repeatedly lied under oath. He lied to his family. He lied to his banker. He lied to the FEC, Federal Election Commission. He lied to every single reporter he talked to for about a year. He's literally like an MVP of liars, says Todd Blanche. He's also a thief. He admitted to stealing from the Trump Organization, admitted to committing a felony on the stand in front of you. But what should matter to you are the lies he told in this courtroom. Before I sit down, I want to talk about 10 reasons why there's reasonable doubt in this case. And he's just now starting to go through them. Pretty good, Dave. He's starting to ramp it up. And really, this case at its base boils down to exactly what he's hitting on. No one can trust Michael Cohen or a word he says.
Yeah, I'm glad he's wrapping it up. I was starting to worry that it might get a little long. And I'm glad that he's going to end it with a sort of bullet point of here's the 10 reasons for reasonable doubt. That seems smart to me. I do. Can I just ask, how has nobody found this 14-year-old yet? I mean, where's TV USA on this? This kid could be like the biggest star, on the right wing in the last 5 years. True. I remember talking to my producer when that part of it broke. And of course, the big deal there was that he got caught at least in a lie of omission, right? Oh, you didn't mention that this was also about a 14-year-old who was harassing you? But I just remember John being like, I'm sorry, say that again. And I'm like, yeah, a 14-year-old was prank calling. And we honestly kind of like sat for a second. I think we were both thinking like, what are we doing with our lives? Like, this is all so silly and ridiculous.
And now that 14-year-old can vote. Voting, I want to know who the 14-year-old is voting for.
It could be in Congress. Well, I guess not Congress, but
22.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to know this kid. Yeah, well, I think we're all on his side. Who wouldn't want to harass Michael Cohen?
Someone's got to find this person. But, it goes back to the one mistake that I thought maybe the defense made was putting Costello on. I was really a fan of the idea of just don't put anybody on. Just let the prosecution rest and then say they didn't make the case. That's it. And you sit down. And I know that that's risky. But I feel like Costello also came off a little Damon Runyon, Guys and Dolls-ish, right? And I thought it was kind of better to have that only be Michael Cohen. But yeah, this whole thing looks shady and bizarre and ridiculous. And I think that's why you saw, taking it full circle, this ridiculous press conference today, because the Biden campaign understands this is not helping them. It's hurting them.
And Megyn,
well, that's the question.
Too,
go ahead, Stu.
Sorry, go ahead. On Cohen, one of the things we see with Cohen, and he's a person who, he's lying because it's the only thing he's capable of doing, right? Like every time he opens his mouth, he's lying. And that has been true for not just the last couple of years. It has been true every minute he has been in the orbit of Donald Trump. And if there's one thing I hope Donald Trump takes out of this, if he hopefully is exonerated here, and hopefully, he goes on and has a great life, maybe president of the United States again, is anytime he senses anyone around him who is anything like Michael Cohen, get them away from you. People like this do nothing but destroy.
This is why he was hired. But Stu, this is why Trump hired Michael Cohen, because he's a dirtbag, and Trump was looking for a dirtbag to help him in a dirty industry, which is the New York real estate industry. Yeah. This is not where you go with the clean fingernails, speaking the Queen's English. I mean, it's infamous for having a lot of shady characters in it. Trump was kind of born into it and knew how to work it and operate within it, and you can't do it with the white-shoed lawyers. I think that's why he had this guy working on, so closely with him. It doesn't make Trump look great, but I understand why he did it. He couldn't find a perfectly ethical guy to handle these things with the muscle and language that might be needed for one to be truly heard, to use the left's language in this rough crowd. He needed to be heard. Here, listen to this, Dave.
Can I just say that's also why Cohen?
Yeah,
that's also why Cohen couldn't go to the White House. And that pissed Cohen off, right?
Oh, hell
That's exactly why Michael Cohen was not allowed to come to the White House, is exactly what you just said. That's not his milieu.
No, God, Trump was smart enough not to do that. Puck News Echelon poll last week. 85% of Americans say they've heard a lot or some about the case. Only 45% could identify what the case was actually about. 45% of those who have heard a lot about the case could identify what it was about. 72% on both sides said the case has zero bearing on their opinion of Trump. 34% of Trump supporters and Trump leaners say a guilty verdict would make them more likely to support him. It's not going the way the Democrats thought it was going to go, guys. That's why we have Robert De Niro and the J6 cops there. Stu?
Well, it's funny. It's exactly why. I remember thinking when all this started with all the legal charges against him, they've got 91 charges against him. They're not going to go 0 for 91. They're going to get him on something, right? And, theoretically, maybe they will. But now it looks like 3 of the 4 main cases are going to be pushed past the election. You've got one of them is the Fani Willis disaster. And now this one, which is the biggest joke and has always been the biggest joke among them,
Do you owe back taxes? Pandemic relief is now over. Along with hiring thousands of new agents and field officers, oh joy, the IRS has kicked off 2024 by sending over 5 million pay-up letters to those who have unfiled tax returns or balances owed. No one wants to get those letters. Don't waive your rights and speak with them on your own. Tax Network USA, a trusted tax relief firm, has saved over $1 billion in back taxes for their clients, and they can help you secure the best deal possible. Whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, they can help you. Whether it's business or personal taxes, even if you have the means to pay, or if you are on a fixed income, they can help finally resolve your tax burdens once and for all. Call 1-800-245-6000 for a private free consultation or visit tnusa.com/Megyn. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.